What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. Let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so let me know right down in the comments now. Who is your number one receiver for the Giants this year? I think it's probably between Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay. But go ahead and type down in the comments who your number one receiver is for the Giants this year.
Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so I think this is a pretty good question, at least it is from my perspective. Who the Giants' number one wide receiver will be this year, I have no idea. I have a pretty good idea, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Now, I think it's between four guys. And when I say number one wide receiver, I mean the guy that you look for in crunch time, the guy that gets the most attention. That can probably be two different people. So maybe I'll end up turning this into like a superlatives video as I'm going along. But I think for guys who you think are going to be your most dependable, sure-handed, number one guys that'll take over games most of the time, I think it's between four guys. As hard as it is for me to say it, I think out of these four people, it could be any four that you could call a number one wide receiver for the Giants, the most important wide receiver for the Giants this year. So the first one obviously is Kenny Golladay. I mean, he's getting paid the most money. He has the best history of a wide receiver. I think he's pretty much the only wide receiver who has 1,000-yard season. Sterling Shepard has supposed to have already had like 3 or 4, but he gets injured almost every time he's having a great season. And, Golladay is the guy that, to me, that strikes the most fear in the defense from what he's done in his career so far. But Kadarius Toney is definitely someone that you have to watch out for too. Kadarius Toney in that Cowboys game, in that Saints game, pretty much started to take those games over. Really started to take those games over. And I mean, he did it in the short game. He did it in the long game. He did it pretty much all over the field. It looks like he's going to get even better and better as it goes with the route running. So Kadarius Toney could step up and just be that, young wide receiver that just steps onto the scene and becomes one of the best receivers in the league. He has that kind of a skill set. And then your next guy is Sterling Shepard. Obviously the guy who has the most chemistry with Daniel Jones. Every time he played a game, he was open. He was open. He was catching the ball that when it was getting thrown to him. Again, he has the most chemistry besides maybe Darius Slayton, but Slayton obviously isn't going to be your number one guy. But Shep really has that chemistry, as I keep saying, with Daniel Jones. And I could see him having a couple 100-yard games, especially if these other receivers start to play better. That'll leave some one-on-one coverage, and Shep would destroy that. The whole story of his career has been when Sterling Shepard, whether he's playing outside or inside, when he gets double covered, he starts to disappear. But when he's one-on-one, which he should be, which is the reason he was drafted to be a complement to Odell. He was drafted to be a complement. He was drafted to be a number 2 guy. So, as I said, when he gets doubled, he disappears. When he's one-on-one, he destroys corners. No one can guard him one-on-one. So, if Shep can do that, he can be your number 1 guy. It's very possible. He could get the most receptions. Now, he might not have the most yards, but he could be the guy every third down he's getting the ball. And then fourth, I have as kind of a tie. I have Wandel Robinson's name written down, but I'm going to throw this in there as a tie. It could be, and this is me defining, number 1 receiver loosely. I have Wandale Robinson and Saquon Barkley. Now, Wandale, for self-explanatory reasons, could be your number 1 because maybe they have Toney as their number 1 receiver. And what if Toney goes down? Or what if they want to use Wan'Dale and Toney because they've talked a lot about their skill sets and how they want to use them to the best of their ability. Wanda Robinson could be that guy that makes a ton of plays for us this year. It's really, I'm hoping that all these guys make plays, but it's possible that one of these guys can make much more big plays than others. Saquon Barkley, same thing. He could be a guy that catches a bunch of screens, that lines up in the slot, catches some slants, takes it to the house, that, does a lot of things. But I really doubt that Saquon will be your number one receiver. But he could have another season where he has, 50 catches. That's possible. Now there's a lot of targets to go around. You got to expect that Goliday, Toney, Shepard, Wandel Robinson, your tight ends, Bellinger. I'm not even going to include him here because I don't think he'll be that prominent. But Bellinger, your other running backs. I think I'm forgetting somebody. Slayton, I missed out on. If he makes a team, which I think he should, but a lot of people don't want him on the team. But out of all of these guys, it would be a lot to expect all of these guys to get a bunch of targets and Saquon Barkley to get targets. And even though I have Wandale listed here, I'm kind of in my head thinking that Saquon Barkley will get more targets than Wandel Robinson because he's your check down guy. He's your screen guy. He's a guy they're going to line up outside and in the slot. They've already said that they're going to line him up all over the field. So he could possibly get more more targets and receptions than Wanda Robinson, especially as a rookie, especially when you can use them kind of interchangeably. You can get the ball to them in open space and watch them make plays. And I think maybe the only person on the team that you can argue is more effective than Saquon in the open space is Kadarius Toney. But as I've gone through all of these players so far, I'm going to say, as I said in my opening, it's between Golladay and Toney. It's between Golladay and Toney. And I think it's a toss-up. I think they could honestly be 1A, 1B wide receivers, and I think that's how they're going to be used. I think Golladay is going to be used to make those big plays. I think they're going to be throwing him a lot of 50-50 balls. I think they're going to be throwing him a lot of slants, a lot of those routes that big receivers can capitalize on, those slant routes where you can box people out, those comeback routes where you can box people out, those 50-50 balls where you can box people out and go up and get the ball. And that's something that Kenny Golladay has done better than any other receiver since he's been in the league. And he was not used that way, in his first year as a Giant, which is very unfortunate. But I think that Kenny Golladay is going to be used the right way. I think we'll use him in the red zone. I think we'll use him 40, 50 yards down the field. And now that we have an offensive line blocking, we have no excuse not to at least try to throw him the ball down the field. And it doesn't take that long for a guy to get down the field and the ball to be in the air. So take the shots with Kenny Golladay. If we do that, the dude's going to be over 1,000 yards. He's going to have about 8 to 12 touchdowns. I'm expecting to see that. Kadarius Toney. You can literally get this man the football in a shuttle screen. You can line him up and hand it off to him. You can throw all other types of screens to him. You can put him on a streak. You can put him on a post route. You can put him on a slant. You can put him on a whip route, which he does very, very effectively. You can put him pretty much anywhere on the field, and it looks like this guy will be able to get open. Now, my thing is, are they going to really put those plays into effect to allow this dude to capitalize on his skill set consistently and not try to say, okay, we're going to put in, a little bit of the plays for Toney, and we're also going to put in a little bit of plays for Wandel Robinson. We'll see how that goes. It'll probably depend on who starts to step up more in this offseason. But Kadarius Toney, I mean, the sky's the limit, as I said early on in this video. If he can stay healthy, I think this dude is a superstar level talent, and it's all about just putting him in the right position to succeed. So I think it's between those two, and I think they can literally be 1A and 1B. But if you want to tell me who the guy that will, at the end of the season, will all say, this guy was our best receiver, let's think about it. It's tough, but I think at the end of the year, what the person will say is our best receiver will be Kadarius Toney. And I literally have said that just as I said that out of my mouth. That's when I made my decision. It's that close to me. I think Kenny Golladay can take over games, but I think Kadarius Toney also can take over games. And I just see him way too many opportunities with the ball in his hand for him to make guys miss after, for him to make all types of plays down the field. From what we saw in that Cowboys and Saints game, I'm going to have to go ahead and give it up to Kadarius Toney. And if I'm proven wrong and Kenny Golladay has a great year, I'll be happy too. So again, you guys let me know what you're thinking down in the comments. See you in the next video. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.